Well, dear listeners, today I'm going to tell you a story that will make you rethink everything you think you know about business deals and power plays. Imagine for a moment, what would you do if you discovered that the promise that completely changed your life actually hid something very different from what you imagined? Stay tuned, because this story has more twists and turns than a weekend Korean drama, and I guarantee you won't be able to put it down until the end. Our protagonist is Min So-ra, a 26-year-old assistant who had been working at Hanwol Corporation for 3 years. It wasn't exactly her dream job. In fact, she spent more time organizing her boss's schedule and serving coffee than using her business degree, but it paid the bills and supported her ailing mother. So-ra had that quiet determination of someone who grew up knowing that nothing in life comes for free, you know? The kind of person who wakes up at 5 in the morning to study English online before work because she secretly dreams of landing a seemingly impossible promotion. Across the mahogany desk on the 40th floor sat Kang Ji-hoon, the youngest CEO in the company's history, at 32 years old and with a reputation for ruthlessness in business dealings. Ji-hoon was one of those men who wore suits costing more than the average person's annual salary and could silence an entire room with just a raised eyebrow. But behind that flawless executive facade, he carried the weight of having inherited a company on the brink of bankruptcy after his father's sudden death. Hanwol Corporation was sinking faster than a leaky ship. Corruption scandals, lost contracts, plummeting stocks. It was one disaster after another. Ji-hoon needed a miracle, or at least a strategy no one would expect. That's when he noticed So-ra in a different way. It wasn't just because she always delivered impeccable reports, or because she never complained about working late. It was because she had something he'd lost amidst all the chaos: the ability to see simple solutions to complex problems. On a rainy Thursday in September, Ji-hoon called So-ra into his office. She entered expecting another list of impossible tasks, but instead found a man who looked like he'd aged 10 years in a week. "Miss Min," he said, his voice more tired than authoritative, "I need you to help me save this company." So-ra nearly choked on her own air. I mean, she was just an assistant. What on earth could she do that an entire team of consultants couldn't? But Ji-hoon had a plan. He'd observed how So-ra interacted with employees across departments, how she understood the company's real problems from the bottom up. "I'll make a deal with you," he said, approaching the desk where she always left her documents. "Help me rebuild this company from the ground up, using your perspective as someone who truly understands how things work here. In return, I guarantee you'll have a future at this company that goes far beyond anything you've ever dreamed of." So-ra looked at him as if he'd completely lost his mind. "Sir, with all due respect, what exactly are you offering me?" Ji-hoon smiled for the first time in weeks. "I'm offering a partnership. You become my strategic partner, help me save Hanwol, and in 2 years you'll be vice president of the company. Oh, and we'll have to pretend we're in a relationship to ward off the investors who want to force me into an arranged marriage to save the company." Dramatic pause here, folks, because So-ra obviously thought she was having a psychotic break. A fake relationship? Vice presidency? Saving a multi-million-dollar company? She could barely make ends meet every month. But then she thought about her mother, the medical bills, the dreams she'd kept in a drawer for so long they were gathering dust. "Fine," she said, and immediately regretted it. "But I have conditions." Ji-hoon arched an eyebrow, clearly not used to hearing conditions from subordinates. "First, no real intimacy. Second, if the company doesn't recover in 2 years, you guarantee me a letter of recommendation that will open doors anywhere. Third, I want to be involved in all strategic decisions, not just executing them." And so began the most unlikely partnership in Seoul's business history. So-ra moved into a penthouse apartment, to save face, of course, and suddenly found herself navigating business dinners where people discussed multi-million-dollar investments as if they were restaurant menus. Her first week was a complete disaster. She spilled red wine on the shirt of the president of Korea's largest bank and accidentally called a Japanese investor by the wrong name during a presentation. But here's where the interesting things begin. So-ra didn't try to transform herself into a female version of Ji-hoon. Instead, she brought her authenticity to that artificial world. When employees were too scared to speak their truth in meetings, she created informal communication channels. When she discovered the company was losing contracts due to unnecessary bureaucracy, she suggested simpler protocols that no one had thought of before. Little by little, Ji-hoon realized he wasn't just watching Sora grow professionally, he was rediscovering his own passion for business. She had a knack for asking questions he'd never considered. Why do you have 3-hour meetings to decide things that could be resolved in 15 minutes? Or, have you ever stopped to ask your clients what they really want instead of assuming? Their fake relationship became surprisingly natural. Ji-hoon discovered that Sora had a sharp sense of humor and wasn't afraid to tease him when he got too cocky. Sora discovered that behind that ruthless CEO facade was a man who still cried, watching sad movies, and made anonymous donations to orphanages. 6 months after the deal, Hanwoo Corporation had secured 3 new major contracts, and its stock had risen 40%. The trade press was calling the duo the golden partnership of the new generation of entrepreneurs. Sora found herself giving interviews in business magazines and being invited to lecture at universities. It was surreal, but she was loving every minute of it. The problem was that the more time they spent together, the more the line between pretense and reality blurred. Ji-hoon began to realize he looked forward to the moments they were alone, when they could drop their corporate facades. Sora noticed she'd started caring about his opinion on things that had nothing to do with work. By the end of the first year, the company had not only recovered, it was thriving. Ji-hoon was featured on the cover of Forbes Asia, and Sora received the Seoul Business Association's Breakthrough Executive Award. Everything was going perfectly, perhaps too well. It was one December night, during the company's end-of-year party, that Sora decided she needed to know the truth about Ji-hoon's feelings. She found him alone on the hotel terrace, looking out at the illuminated city. "Ji-hoon," she said, using his first name for the first time outside of a public performance. "What will happen to us when the 2 years are up?" He turned to her with an expression she couldn't decipher. "Sora, I need to tell you something." Her heart raced. Finally, he was going to confess that he too had fallen in love, that he wanted to make what had started as pretense real. "Actually," he continued, "I've never had to fake a relationship to scare off investors." Guys, can you imagine Sora's face at that moment? It was like the ground had dropped out from under her feet. "What?" she managed to utter. "My father's company left a very specific clause in his will," Ji-hoon explained, avoiding her gaze. "I could only take full control of Hanwoo if I demonstrated an ability to form lasting, genuine partnerships. Not necessarily romantic ones, but partnerships based on mutual trust and respect. The board of directors has been monitoring our partnership from the beginning." Sora felt as if she'd been struck by lightning. "So you used me as a guinea pig in a leadership experiment?" Her voice was more controlled than she felt inside. "At first, maybe," he admitted. "But Sora, what happened between us was beyond any expectations I had. You didn't just help me save the company, you helped me discover the kind of leader I want to be, the kind of person I want to be." And here comes the twist no one saw coming, my dear listeners. Sora didn't fly into a rage. She didn't slap him in the face or run away dramatically. Instead, she started laughing, a genuine, liberating laugh. "You know what, Kang Ji-hoon?" she said, approaching him. "I also have a confession to make." Now it was his turn to tense. "I always knew there was more to your arrangement. An assistant doesn't become vice president overnight without some ulterior motive. So I decided to play your game, but with my own rules." Ji-hoon stared at her, completely lost. "What rules?" "The rule that I would use this opportunity to prove myself, regardless of your motives. The rule that I would fall in love with you on my own terms, not because it was convenient for your plan. And the rule that by the time that moment came, I would have already decided whether you deserved a second chance or whether I would leave here and start my own company with everything I'd learned." The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of the city below. Ji-hoon finally asked the question he'd been afraid to ask. "And what is your decision?" Sora smiled, but this time it was a different smile. The smile of someone who finally recognized their own power. "My decision is that we both learned that sometimes the best agreements are the ones that transform the people involved. You taught me that I can dream bigger than I imagined. I taught you that true leadership means trusting the people around you. She paused, savoring the moment. So here's my counteroffer. Let's make a new deal. This time as true partners in every sense. But first, you'll have to ask me properly. No business contracts or testamentary clauses. Just you, me, and an honest decision about what we want to build together. And that's how Min So Ra, the assistant turned vice president, managed to get Seoul's most feared CEO to kneel on a hotel terrace and ask not only to be his business partner, but also his life partner. Because ultimately, the best breakthrough isn't when we get what we want. It's when we discover we deserve so much more than we ever thought possible. Now tell me something, dear listeners. Do you think So Ra made the right decision in giving Ji-hoon a second chance, or should she have gone her own way? And most importantly, what kind of deal would you make if you had the chance to completely transform your lives? Leave your opinions in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of overcoming obstacles that will make you rethink everything about love, ambition, and second chances.